Alright, hey YouTube, it's really late, it's like 11:30 at night, so it's really dark outside and the lighting in my bedroom sucks anyway, so this probably isn't going to be the best lighting, but oh well, I needed to get on here and make this update because it's already late. So anyways, this is going to be Jaden's growth hormone stimulation recap, kind of tell you how the test went. So his test was at 7:30 in the morning at Children's Hospital. Hey YouTube, I know it's super dark. It's nighttime. It's actually 11:19. It is the day before Jaden's growth hormone stimulation test, and it's a test that's going to take all day, or not all day, it's going to take all morning. It's about a 4-hour test, so I've been getting things ready because we have to leave here at about 6:15, 6:30 in the morning to get to his appointment, which is an hour drive away. So what I've done is, what I did was, I've got him a little lunch packed in here. I've got, can't really see, but I got him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is his favorite, a pack of gummies, and a baggie of grapes sliced in half. Because before he can leave from the hospital, he has to eat, and Jaden can sometimes be a picky eater, so I wanted to make sure that, I think they're going to provide him a meal, a small meal, but I wanted to make sure that he had something to eat that he likes, so we weren't like fighting with him to get him to eat. So that's what I've done there. I made him food so we don't have to worry about that, just in case he doesn't like what he's given. And then here is the bag that I'm taking. I'm not taking my usual purse. I'm taking this bag because it's a lot bigger. And what I got in here is I got his teddy bear, just in case he wants to hold on to it when they're doing stuff to him. I got a blanket. I didn't know if he'd want to cover up or what. I wanted to pack just to be safe. I've got my wallet in here. Then I've got his Magnadoodle because I have to keep him occupied for 4 hours. So I've got his Magnadoodle. We're taking his Magnadoodle. And then this is a parent magazine for me. And then we've got this little dry erase thing that he loves, but he only gets to do on special occasions. It just got these little flaps on it. And you can see he's colored in crayon in some of them. But I brought this, and this book usually never ever ever has the marker in it. I usually take that marker out while it's on his bookshelf. And it's kind of like this, but the whole book is a dry erase book, so he can color on this. I think that he will really like that he's able to do that. So we've got these two things that are dry erase that are going to go with this marker. And then I brought some of his favorite books in here, a few of his favorite books, and then I brought 3 of his favorite movies. I'm not sure if they'll have a DVD player. I'm thinking they probably should. So bringing Nemo, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginnings. This is his favorite 3 movies at the moment, so I'm going to bring these. Just in case they have a DVD player that we can put those in. So this is the stuff I'm bringing that hopefully will keep him occupied during the 4-hour test. And here is the little guy. He's asleep in bed. Here he is. And I'll update you more tomorrow. And we'll also have my Android phone so that Jaden can do the apps that he likes to do on here. And he can watch Netflix on here as well. And it's got this little tripod on here so it can sit up and he can watch it like a little TV to watch Netflix. So we've got that, and then he can do the little apps and play games on there too. So I'm hoping between all of this stuff right here that it'll keep him pretty occupied. So we had to leave at like 6:15 to get there. We got there, we parked in the parking garage, we signed in, and then Jaden had like a couple minutes to play on the little, they have a little fire truck that you can get in and pretend you're driving in the waiting room. And we got called back. We got called back into this one little room, and they got his height, his weight. He was like 26 pounds. I forget how tall he was. They took his blood pressure and his temperature, and then we got sent to the room where they were going to do the test. It was a small little room. It had a little hospital bed. It had a TV with a DVD player and 2 other chairs and a little like dry erase board for kids to draw on. So we get in there, and a nurse comes in. She kind of explains the test. He got 2 different medications, glucagon and clonidine, I think is what they were called. And it was to help to stimulate his growth hormone production and all that good stuff. And then, you know, they do blood draws every 30 minutes to check the levels of everything. So what they did first was another lady came in to help the nurse. They had to give Jaden an IV, and you know, they put the little stretchy rubber band thing on both arms, felt around on the inside of his elbow and his hands to figure out where would be the best place to place the IV. And they ended up placing it, I think it was his right arm, and she got it in the first stick. Thank goodness they didn't have to poke him more than once to get the IV in. And he cried when the IV went in, and you know, he was sitting on my lap. I was kind of holding him. Thomas was over here trying to distract him, so he wasn't looking at the needle. And then the one lady was holding his arm still, and then the other lady was actually putting the IV in. And of course, Thomas couldn't keep Jaden's attention over here, so he watched them put the IV in. And he cried when they put it in, of course, but then after it was in, he stopped crying and he was fine. They bandaged it up so he couldn't rip it out, and so that would stay in place. They kind of put a little pillow underneath it. And then they hooked him up to a bag of saline solution for the first half hour of the test. Also forgot to mention, this was a test where Jaden had to fast. So he wasn't allowed to eat anything past midnight the night before the test. And then when we got there and she was getting ready to put the IV in, he was allowed to either have Sprite Zero or sugar-free lemonade. It couldn't be something with sugar or that would mess up the test. So he had Sprite Zero, which is like the first time he's ever had pop. So he was loving that because he doesn't get pop here. I don't even drink pop, so Jaden doesn't drink pop either. So he thought that was a real treat. So once the IV was in, you know, we gave him a drink of pop and he was happy again. So they got that in, and then they had to give him the 2 different types of medications, the glucagon and clonidine or something like that. I forget which was which, but one of them was in a syringe, and the nurse gave it to him by mouth. She kind of squeezed it out real slow, and she's like, it's really important that he takes all of this. But thankfully, we didn't have any problems with it. Jaden took it right away. He just drank it like a champ. And then after he was done with that, he took a drink of Sprite, and then she gave him the shot in his left leg. And he did not like that one. He screamed really hard when they gave him the shot. And then he cried a little bit after that. Like when they did the IV, he stopped crying right away, but when they gave him the shot in the leg, he kind of cried a little bit longer. So it must have been a painful shot. So they got both of the medicines in, they got him hooked up, and then after that they came in every half hour to check his blood pressure, his blood sugar level, and to draw blood from the IV. And the test was supposed to last 3 hours. So the first half hour he was hooked up to the saline solution. when they came in to do the first stuff, she needed to get his arm to do the blood pressure, and he was not having it. He did not want them to have his arm. But by the time they came in for the second half hour, he like gave him his arm right away. Like, he's like, okay, I know what you're gonna do. Here you go, just do it and get it over with. It was really cute. But after that, after the first half hour, he didn't have to be hooked up to any fluids or anything. So he was free moving and stuff on the bed. And he started asking them when they were like taking the blood out. He's like, why you take that blood out for? What are you doing that for? Why you giving me a Band-Aid? It was really funny. He was like quizzing them and asking them all these questions. But while we were waiting in the waiting room, all we did was watch movies. The first movie was one of the movies that I brought a few different movies, and we watched Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning. Thomas was in a chair in the waiting room, and I was on the hospital bed with Jaden, and he was kind of sitting next to me, and we were watching movies. And then after Little Mermaid was over, I had them play Over the Hedge. They had a list of DVDs that you could choose, so he hadn't seen Over the Hedge, so I thought he might like that. So we watched that afterwards, and about the first hour of the test, we kind of just did that, and then Jaden ended up falling asleep. One of the medicines that they get kind of makes you feel kind of yucky and sleepy, and Jaden was kind of getting a little fussy, ready to go, but then next thing I know, he's like, I look down at him, he's dead asleep. So it knocked him like right out, and I called the nurse on the nurse call button to ask her if I didn't know if it was okay for him to fall asleep, so I decided I should ask, you know. So I asked her, she came in, she's like, you know, it's fine, if he wants to sleep, that's fine, as long as we keep an eye on his blood sugar level and it's nice and high, he can sleep through the test, that's fine. So he did that, and then about an hour and a half later, she comes in and, you know, does the blood pressure, takes the blood from the IV, and then when she went to check his blood sugar with some of the blood that she had drew, it was a little low. It was like at a 51, and anything below 50 is really not good. She's like, well, his blood pressure dropped a little, his blood sugar is a little low, so I'm going to go talk to the doctor and see what he wants to do from here. So when she came back in, she's like, we're going to stop the test. His blood sugar is dropping a little lower than what we would like to see it. Hopefully, you know, they should still get some good information from the length of tests that he did do, and I needed to wake him up so he could eat and drink so that his blood sugar level would rise again. So we woke him up, they brought in some apple juice boxes, and he was really like lethargic and a little woozy once he woke up, but once he drank his apple juice, he kind of drank it with his eyes closed. You could tell he was kind of waking up and starting to feel better. And we could have chosen a meal from the menu from the hospital, and they had some good stuff too. They had like Gold Star and some other stuff on there, but she said it would take 40 minutes for it to be ready. And thankfully I had made him a lunch. I made him so I got him that and said, we're like, don't even worry about doing the meal thing. We brought him a lunch. He can just eat this. So we did that. He ate the peanut butter and jelly and some grapes, and then we were free to go. She told us that we'll get the results in 2 weeks, and yeah, we'll go from there. After that, Jaden was still a little lethargic, and once we got in the car, as soon as we got in the car, he fell back asleep, and when we got home, he was still asleep, so I put him in bed. And I was only able to be home after that for like 30 minutes, and then I had to leave to go to work. And Thomas had to leave to go to work, so he was left with Thomas's mom and dad. And they said he kind of slept the rest of the day. And when I got home at like, what time was it when I got home? When I got home at like 8, they said he had been asleep since 6:30. So he pretty much slept the rest of the day, and they said that they warned us saying that he'd probably be a little sleepy the rest of the day and a little off and not feeling himself. So, but overall, he did really, really well. The test was nowhere near as traumatic as I thought it was going to be. The only hard part of that test was the beginning, where they have to place the IV and then give him the shot in the leg. After that, it's really smooth sailing, because, you know, they don't have to poke them every time they get a blood draw. They just do it right through the IV that's already placed. So it's actually really easy. I mean, I know the medicine that he took kind of made him feel bad and lethargic, but it wasn't too dramatic or too stressful on him. So we just pretty much just watched movies the whole time, and he did a really good job. I was really proud of him. You know, he didn't really cry or fight with the nurses, and he was such a trooper. He did so well. And yeah, I think that's about it. If you have any questions about the tests, then let me know and I'll try to answer them. I'm trying to think if I left anything out. Yeah, I think that's it. That's how his test went. And I'll talk to you guys later.